Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. Welcome to X Garage. Thank you for joining us today. This is the Gospel Battle Cry, diving into the Christian world, diving into the crazy world of worldviews with the Christian worldview. That's starting to sound like a chant from a crazy religion. So today we are diving into 7 crazy ideas in the Jedi religion, or in the Jedi tradition, or something along those lines, as Star Wars is coming out with their final installment of the new Skywalker trilogy, or something.
The new Skywalker?
Well, the
Luke Skywalker.
the Skywalker.
The newest
Skywalker trilogy.
Yeah.
I guess they've all really been Skywalker trilogies, haven't they?
They really, they all have been. Yeah. All of them about the same family.
Have you watched the newest one?
I have not watched the newest one.
I haven't watched the newest
So there's going to be no spoilers in this.
Yeah, no
for the
spoilers.
Newest one. So listen on. Maybe
Indeed.
some spoilers of the old ones.
But we are a channel that dives into religions and worldviews and stuff like that, and so I thought it would be fascinating to discuss the religion or belief systems in the world of Star Wars.
Especially on the cusp of the last movie coming out.
So I think the first and most obvious question, so this is number 1, what is the Force, right? So it kind of varies from the different generations of movies, it seems like.
Yeah.
You have this like really, in the first trilogy, it seems like the Force is very kind of through all and in all. It is the
It binds us together.
It binds us together.
Yeah, and in an interview with George Lucas I was watching, he actually harkens to monotheism for the Force. And he actually, he very much wants to synthesize all religions together.
Not surprising.
And so he actually says that he created the idea of the Force with the idea of there is a commonality between all religions.
And that's interesting, because it seems like it takes hooks a hard left turn when we maybe not initially, but when you get to the what do you call them? The movies that don't really count. The 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, as a lot of people say. Yeah,
the prequel.
The 3 prequels.
So when Qui-Gon Jinn is talking to Anakin and discussing midi-chlorians, right? So it takes this kind of really
almost
transcendent idea and brings it down to
almost the scientific.
Yes, there are these things that live inside your body, inside your cells.
It sounds like Scientology.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Identical.
Oh my gosh, you're totally right. Yeah.
It's like the fusion of Scientology and witchcraft.
Oh my gosh.
This is good.
Whoa.
Sign me up for that reality.
Sign me up. And Unitarianism with sort of this unification of all religions.
Wow.
Oh wow.
So this
it's all
is,
coming together.
Oh
it's
my
the fusion,
gosh.
yeah.
Jedi religion is true.
And
Which,
And all we're doing is comparative religious studies here. I mean, that's how you find truth, right?
Oh my gosh. We are discovering truth right here and now. So I'm going to make this one number 2. There actually is a real life Jedi religion. I'm not kidding. There is one.
Yeah, people dress up in robes, actually, get together with their lightsabers and hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Do they have take on personas too with this, or do they see themselves?
I don't know if it's like a cosplay thing, but I think it's just literally they come together to sort of venerate the Force.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. You said there's one here in town,
Not
too.
surprising, though.
Well, yeah, there's a Jedi temple actually here in the metropolis of Spokane.
Which used to be a Free Methodist church.
Which actually used to be a Free Methodist church. They converted, and I guess they have a bunch of what I guess we would call like old like relic Jedi Star Wars merchandise, where this guy bought this collection of old Jedi gadgets and memorabilia, and now they have them sort of enshrined in this building where you can go, and it's also an arcade, so you can go hang out and move stuff with your telepathic powers.
I feel like I would.
I wonder if like you
machines,
could even like if you touch one of those trinkets, if it gives you power.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Whoa.
It's kind of like the Catholic Church a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot
Relics.
like
monasticism, sort of.
Again, going back to witchcraft. You touch the stone and there you go.
Okay.
You get the power,
So, and then obviously, so number 3, light and dark side. So I think we'll touch a little bit on this later, but like
it kind of blends into the religion of Taoism. Actually spelled T.
I think it's both and. It's
it depends on who's
Taoism and Taoism.
But it's this idea of the yin and the yang, which is a very popular symbol in our culture nowadays. It's sort of this light and darkness with a dot of darkness in the light and a dark of light in the darkness. And sort of there has to be this balance. And so if the light arises, the darkness will arise to meet it. And we see this all throughout the Star Wars universe, all the way to the point where on the light side, there's this tendency towards goodness. And I want to, in a way, I want to congratulate, not congratulate, but I don't know, give some sort of respect to Taoism of recognizing the struggle in us as humans between evil and good, and the flesh and the spirit. And so really they've tried to explain this idea of the struggle between the flesh and the spirit, but I feel like they don't know all the information,
right?
Yeah. So
well, even in regard to the Force and in Taoism, or at least in the Yin and Yang, how it's been explained to me, and maybe it's like different depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But the dark side isn't necessarily evil. On both.
Yeah.
So the dark side could. Be good, I guess, depending on how
it's
you're
necessary to define the light side,
right?
Yeah. And that's
like the dark can represent passion and maybe like
desire.
Yes, desire.
Yeah. Where the light side is almost this disconnection from desire, this want of absolute simplicity, of no ownership. And there's a part in them, I think it's episode 2, where I think it's Padme asks Anakin, "Can a Jedi love?" Like.
And he's like, well, I'd say compassion is...
Compassion is. And so compassion is a great component of love. And so in a way, we're encouraged to love, he actually says.
But there seems to be this struggle in him because he knows like the order says that he can't marry, right? Or he can't love, yet compassion is encouraged, which is encouraged, is a sense of love. Yeah. And speaking of Anakin, I think this is point number 4, I believe, unless I'm skipping numbers. The conversion of Anakin to the dark side, I think, is a very fascinating moment. Because obviously the new movie's coming out, so we're rewatching all of them. And there's this moment where Emperor or Palpatine, the Dark Lord of the Sith, is telling Anakin, "Hey, look, if you want to know more about the Force, you have to study all of it in all of its components, basically."
Yeah, you must understand the dark side to understand the light. Yeah.
So, which I find is interesting because I feel like this is a way that a lot of people will argue about different facets. And obviously, we're us as conservative Christians. I think that some people might argue that same way about liberalism. Obviously, liberalism is the same as the Dark Lord of the Sith, but
don't want to draw those parallels too strongly at this point. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that it seemed like he was approaching the Force with like a very liberal kind of understanding is more what I'm saying. Is that, and is look, if you want to be a scholar in the Force, if you want to be a true student of the Force, you have to understand the Force and all of its components, which includes the dark side. The Jedi are too narrow-minded. They're too strict in their religion.
You must understand Darth Pelagius.
Yep.
Pelagius.
Funny how that name comes around.
Yeah, the heretic.
Yeah, the heretic.
Wow. You just perked my ears up in the conversation. I was
Darth Pelagius.
Is that really the name?
Yeah, Dark Pelagius. Which is,
that's awesome.
It's interesting.
Little church history, huh?
Yeah, he's coming back, and it's interesting how monastic the Jedi are. They actually wear the robes with hoods.
That's right. Yes, the brown robes there.
They reject any sort of ownership of anything. They take a celibate life, and and a lot of them spend copious hours meditating,
writing, copying things.
No? It is interesting that actually in I think it's episode 8 they introduced that there's actually a Jedi text.
Yeah.
And
I
forgot about that.
Complete without a text.
and which Yoda almost says, "Who cares about this text?" And he burns them. But then you find out later that they're actually not burned, and Rey saves them or something like that. But this is very it's an interesting point there. Something we want to bring up next is the morality between the movies, and there is actually a moral progression which kind of follows the moral progression of, say, our culture. And the beginning movies really ask questions that were being asked, say, during the time of the I think was it the 70s they came out? The 70s,
late 70s, and then episode 2 came out in 1980, I believe.
Yeah,
or episode 5.
Yeah, and it's around that time we have the Vietnam War, and we have this idea of the question of the morality of death, and the justification of, say, killing people to save other people's lives. And this is really the question of morality that is posed in the first movies.
It always seemed to be kind of emblematic of World War II to me.
Yeah, you have the stormtroopers who are sort of very Naziistic,
right.
The Empire, and then you have the rebellion, which is almost sort of this French resistance.
Right, and perhaps you could think of it along the lines of the nuclear bombing of Japan. Is seen as similar to the blowing up of the Death Star, because obviously lots of people died in the blowing up of the Death Star.
So you almost have this sort of twisted, and you actually see that a lot more, especially in the newer movies as well, because they actually revisit that idea of blowing up planets.
So paralleling the ethic of cultures, but also the historic moments, maybe.
Which is it's very interesting, and
So this morality moving, what are some of the major moral shifts that you see?
I think the moral shift is actually interesting because it becomes less external. So doing the good,
like on the culture, good for humanity, good on
people group, to the shift of good for ourselves as well. And there's a shift of selfishness. Almost individualism.
Did you say something? Or, I thought I heard something about
human rights.
Human rights. So all of a sudden, animals and robots and humans sort of have equal playing field. So the old movies, there's definitely an order. You have Luke Skywalker's killing the Rancor. You have say the prequels. They have the arena scene where Obi-Wan and Padme and Anakin kill these animals in the arena, and then all of a sudden we have this shift in the new Star Wars where animals have this and robots have this equal playing field with the humans, and it's interesting. Because say episode 7, they spend this copious amount of time going to this planet where there's hundreds of these slave children on this planet, this gambling planet. And instead of rescuing these slave children, they free these animals, which are being used for sport, for running a race. It's actually like they show they're whipping them with these electronic whips or whatever. And they rescue these animals and rescue them out into the wild, probably to be recaptured the next day. Who knows? But and then we also have this relationship between the pilot Poe and his robot, where he venerates this robot almost as like his buddy, like his best buddy. And every time he sees this robot, it's like the joining of, I don't know, re-seeing of this best friend.
Yeah.
Right. Also to mention the robot in what's it called? The Solo movie.
Is it the Solo movie?
Yeah.
Which and you also see this the creeping in of feminism and human rights, and it's interesting in the new movies how much more they have females partaking in fighting battle, and it's not like we're going to get into that. That's another discussion for another time.
It's interesting to watch the trend.
To see the trend. And
it's very much mirroring what the values of
females
our culture are.
Taking leadership roles in the movie.
Or
fighting roles.
Yeah, or fighting roles. Fighting roles is more, because the old one you had Princess Leia, who was a prominent role.
Which I think is a height of a feminist move, is to they would usher women out to battle.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah. And I mean, like, even to the point to extent where you actually have a room where you have women completely leading in the whole room, and them actually degrading the male coming into the room. And actually that happens multiple times in, I think, episode 8. That comes in, and then but you're talking about that robot who in a way is fighting for robot rights.
And very sexual too.
And very sexual and very feminist, actually, like how she walks, how she talks about things, and almost this idea of like, well,
did she carry a chalice and a sword?
It started. I don't know what.
We might have to review the series and look for those elements.
Yeah, look for those elements. I know
little tools they have in the background.
but yeah, it's especially how she walks. I mean, it's very. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
But she has a very interesting relationship with Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, where there's almost this sense of where she likes him in a very ambiguous sort of way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you see the trend of what is right, what would be the light side of the Force, sort of change, and they enter in all these ideas which were non-existent in the Star Wars universe before, but then all of a sudden these ideas are being infused into it as what that is the light side of the Force.
It seems kind of disjointed to me. This is probably
like a dislocation.
Yeah, dislocation.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand. I have not watched these movies. If I did, I was really young. I saw the first ones at a really young age.
Admit that to the audience.
And they were so good, I didn't want to watch any of the follow-ups because I thought they would ruin the original.
He's a purist. He's at the purist form. Yeah.
And I don't even remember the originals.
Yeah.
I'm letting it out. I'm sitting on this. I'm a viewer here. I'm enjoying.
There you go.
Go ahead, sorry. Dislocated or disjointed.
It just makes me think of one of the general rules of debate, and I know obviously movies aren't a debate, but when you're presenting your case, and then there is kind of a case for a series, like if you're presenting something, you're presenting ideas. Obviously it's hard when you're doing this generationally because it is a generational movie, or series.
I mean,
but they're forced to present new information in such a way that it's not given within the original context of the first original films. And so they have, in a debate setting, like if you're presenting your argument, all the basic contents in like a formal structural debate, like you have to put all your contents in the first introduction, and so that way that gives the opponent time to critique your initial statement. It's just funny to think about the series having to put in extra cultural stuff to fit
I think,
kind of their...
Yeah, I think the reason being is that these movies and these individuals behind it, they're embedding this philosophy into it. They're following the spirit of the age.
The zeitgeist.
And so they will always move with the spirit of the age, whatever those ethics are, because number one, it's going to get the feedback they want and the everything you want at that point in terms of carnal desires, money, pomp, status.
It's such a shame.
But if you were standing on concrete principles, it's never going to be liked at any time. Jesus wasn't liked at his time. If you stand on what is just, right, and good, and they could do that. I think they can do it. I think that's the beauty of the gospel is if you think well, you could correlate it and put it into any story well. But a lot of people, the masses, may not like it if it is clearly about Christ and the truths that are universal, that are Christian.
Artistically, it seems like such a shame to me. Because J.J. Abrams, he was talking about... So apparently there's going to be a girl-on-girl kiss in the newest film. And he was talking about wanting to incorporate...
Did Netflix make this?
I don't think so.
It sounded like Netflix.
It's Disney. I mean,
it's Disney.
Spirit of the age.
Yes,
spirit of the
They have to do this to kind of
Tinkerbell. It's the spirit of the age.
Yeah. Oh, Tinkerbell. He's a whole other. That's a whole.
Yeah.
They have to do this to basically pander to the masses.
Yes.
That isn't, at least to me, that's not a mark of good art when it's so tied to the current day. That it basically makes its artistic judgments based on the moral choices of the.
Do you think maybe these Star Wars? Do you find that them making these shifts with the culture and the time enriching the movie, or is it kind of like, man, I wish they kept some of these themes from the original or from where they started?
I wish.
Or do you think those were just in their context?
Well, to give you an example,
like it was World War II stuff.
Yeah. To give an example, the ones that followed it, the prequels 1, 2, and 3, George Lucas was obsessed with CGI. He thought it was the way of the future, and the big critique of that movie is that it actually destroyed the integrity of the feel of the movie, right?
Yeah,
and now what they're doing with the Mandalorian and some of the newer films is they've gone back to kind of a mesh between CGI to make it cleaner, but also utilizing a lot of the puppets.
Is the CGI one the one where they're ripping around in the little cruisers all the time?
The podcast. The podcast. I just shameless. Yeah.
Okay, I did watch that one, so I'm not a purist.
So I think that obviously the original ones made choices that were based on the age, but I think there's a sense in which it lost its integrity
to the first narrative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and then a lot of that sparks out of the idea that we now have many different writers of the same thing, which is interesting because if you look at the scripture, that has many different writers, but it stays consistent in its worldview.
Yep.
Where you don't have that when it comes to the Star Wars series because obviously these people aren't thinking the same because they're from different generations, they're from different worldviews, and it's this evolving cultural worldview instead of as the scripture, we have these people from different cultural contexts, but the worldview stays consistent.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing about Scripture. 40 authors, 66 books, same theology, prophetic fulfillment consistent, historical aspects consistent with each and every part of their time periods. It's beautiful. That's a point to make. Is like Scripture tests to its own authority by its very by every very word that was written, and it doesn't change. It's based consistent in contrast to the themes and the narratives we see in Star Wars or anything else. It always shifts and changes because it's based on the subject rather than God reveal himself to subjects in time to keep that consistency. The Spirit, as Luther says, the Spirit's book.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. I think that wraps it up for this episode. This ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but that was an amazing discussion.
Yes, it was. That was fascinating.
Cool. Hey, well, thank you for joining us on X Garage, diving into the crazy world of worldviews with the Christian worldview, including Jediism, which is what the religion that in real life is called.
Yeah.
We have those
born out of another science fiction series, just like Hubbard.
Yeah. Wow, it all goes back to Scientology.
I know. Our root. Yeah,
our root. The root.
Wow, I am learning so much right now. Okay, well, thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah, on the flip side.
On the flip side.
Whatever that means.
There's the light side, the dark side, and the flip side.
I don't know what that is.